Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Livestock Wealth Connected Gardens Investment Q&A webinar. My name is Tulani, and I'm the head of social media. I will go over the format before handing over to our CEO, Ntuthuko Shezi. So firstly, as usual, we have some housekeeping. We will be keeping all audio on mute. If you have any questions, please share them on the Zoom group chat, and we will try to answer the most common questions during the Q&A section. If we choose your question, we will ask you to unmute so that you can ask it live. And then to begin, we will introduce our guests, the team from Azowel Projects. We will also be posting a recording of this webinar next week for those who want to listen again and share it with a friend. So if you haven't already, please like and follow us on social media. We hope you enjoy this session and thank you for joining. Here's our CEO, Mr. Ntuthuko Shezi.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ntuthuko Shezi. They call me the Cow Executive Officer at Livestock Wealth. I always say that I think my name must change now since we're doing gardens. I think I must find another name, like maybe, Assets EO, AEO, Assets EO, some other thing. But welcome to all of you for coming here today. And I would like to say first, just thank our investors. There's people who've been owning assets in Livestock Wealth since 2015, on October the 13th when we opened. And to this day, they're still with us, and some of them are here on the call. So thank you to all of you. We also have got our farmers. We have in our books about 70 partner farmers that we work with. So these are farmers who have been qualified, selected, and vetted to be able to join our farmer network, so that we don't just take any farmer. It's farmers who really have proven their worth, who know what they're doing, who trusted in the community, people who can trust to grow your wealth on your behalf. So the partner farmers do all the work. And what I wanted to, you guys have just seen the video of the connected garden. Where we are today, we are in a place called Palito, inside a greenhouse where you grow vegetables. And the amount of money that you have to start a facility like this runs into hundreds of thousands of rands. Now, we all know that not everyone who's got the skills to farm has got 100,000, R1 million lying around. So you do find that there's brilliant farmers who really are able to farm, great at what they do. But the funds to get started becomes a problem, which is where we as Livestock Wealth came in to say, we as Livestock Wealth, we will bring the investors who are going to buy and own the agricultural structure. And that structure will be owned by the investor and rented out to the farmer. And the farmer pays a rental for that over a 5-year period. And then after that 5-year period, the investor has earned his income, and then as a return, and the farmer has been able to deliver produce to the market and has been able to grow their enterprise and also grow their own wealth as a farmer in the process. And I've got just across from me today the best of such farmers. And that is Welile Gumede. Welile, we've been working with her for the last, we're working with Welile now for the last, since December last year. Welile, thank you very much for joining today's webinar. Welcome.
Hi, Ntuthuko. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So Welile is a farmer and a business person. I think business person and farmer, you can't be a farmer and not be a business person. So Welile, please just tell us a little bit of who you are, your background. Where are you from? How did you get here? Just walk us through how you got to where we are here.
All right. Thank you, Ntuthuko, for giving me the platform. Greetings, guys. My name is Welile Gumede. I'm founder of Azowel Projects. In 2015, I qualified as a chemical engineer, but unfortunately couldn't find work in my line or in my field of study. Sitting at home, desperately looking for work. There was a project right below my house that had never bared a single fruit of 19 tunnels. So I started doing research on tunnel farming, and then 3 years down the line, we are now producing in 40 tunnels. I do come from a small village called Mapumulo in KZN. And so my main line of work is hydroponic farming, using unused dilapidated farming spaces that we then repair and then put into production. And with the assistance of the likes of Livestock Wealth, we are then able to expand our production.
Okay, you say you now have got 40 tunnels.
Yes.
But walk us through the first 3 months of you starting to farm. What was happening there? What was that like?
Sure, that was hectic. Remember, there was no funding. This was an idea that I just had, and I didn't have experience in the field. So nobody was going to trust me with their money. So I needed to prove myself. So that was a bit hectic. It was a very hectic start. However, we managed because, you know, when you put in the work and the passion and you see the vision, and then you just start. So my thing is, when you tell me something and you say you want to start something, I'll tell you, just try by all means to make sure that you get to a person where they can see that you are also putting the work forward, so that they can join you in your business or entrepreneurship or farming journey.
I read somewhere that the 2015 that you described, you were unemployed with a young daughter, and part of you starting to farm was like, hey, I can't just be dependent on government to feed my own children. Was that story true? Walk us through that and tell us about your daughter and yeah, just fill us in there.
All right. So in 2015, while looking for in-service training, I fell pregnant. And then all of a sudden I had a responsibility. I delivered my daughter, and I looked for work even further, but wasn't very lucky at finding anything. And so when she turned 3 months, I had to go and sign up for a child support fund. That's when reality kicked in for me, because I wasn't finding anything. And therefore, I had to do something. I had a responsibility. I needed to cater for my daughter, and I had to think outside the box. And it happened. So it happened that the box was right outside my house.
You're lucky, yeah. You just find that box very quickly, because most people never find the box.
Definitely. No, I know. Coming from a village of child support grant earners, ladies younger than me, and ladies that are of my age that have got like children that are the age of 18, 20 now, that lived from the child support grant from the age of 0. So for me, I couldn't, because remember, I had to make the decision whether, on the child support grant, I needed to make a decision whether to buy my daughter diapers or buy her milk. It was never both of it. And I couldn't take that life. It was very It was a difficult point in time, but it was also a very life-changing moment where I needed to make a decision whether to roll down and play dead or get up, think outside the box, and get off the sofa or the couch or the bed and look for something else that's more challenging. And I'm definitely reaping the fruits today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well done there, Welile. You are a shining example, but I think I want to just, there's a lot of people here who say, okay, I want to farm. I want to do this thing. I can do this thing. The people who are in this webinar today, who are like you in 2015. Now, we are inside a garden tunnel. Like, how different is farming in normally just the way we are used to, where we just go to the field with the hoe and we rip the soil, plant whatever we plant, wait for rain, and then reap. How different is that to what you are doing and what is being done where we are now?
All right. So the difference between open field farming and my type of farming is that you can control the environment that you're growing the crops in. Unlike planting an open field and then praying to God that it rains. Here we have an irrigation system, a drip irrigation system, that we irrigate whenever we see fit to irrigate the plants. And then we also don't grow on soil. We grow on wood shavings or cocoa peat or a product called koya. We use all those products to transplant our seedlings in, and then we use liquid fertilizers to grow the crops. And usually the time taken from planting on the open field usually takes about 4 months for tomatoes, but here we can shorten that time, and then in about 7 weeks we'll have our first crop. But another advantage of tunnel farming is that your harvesting period is longer. So we have about 6 months of harvesting, of weekly harvesting, where you come into the tunnel and you just start picking your fruits and you are selling to your markets. So you will always have a market presence because of the prolonged harvesting period.
So with the likes of global warming, where weather patterns are haywire, up, down, left, right, do you think that in 50 years' time, there's a future for open field farming? What will have to change if open field farming, as we know it in our villages where we grew up, is supposed to keep sustaining people?
Yeah, so we really need to live in a very isolated village to escape the global warming and still be able to produce solely on land. And therefore, these are the advantages with this type of farming, where you can control what you want to consume, basically. And then I know that we are sort of a bit deviating from soil production. And then part of the reason why you'd want to deviate from soil is that it has microorganisms that compete with your crop. So whilst your plants are giving back to the soil, there's some microorganisms. They are natural. There's nothing you can do about it. You can only control it. That are there to compete with your crop. And that's why you'll find that with open field farming, there's a higher risk as compared to controlled environments like the tunnels.
So, for those who don't know, who can see the plants, this is wood shavings. When you're making like planks, for this, they call it sawdust.
Correct.
So I also couldn't believe it when I first saw this thing. I was like, okay, this is sawdust, and this is tomatoes, and the tomatoes are growing inside the sawdust. Like, didn't make sense to me. And also, so like, then how does the plant grow? How can a plant grow inside sawdust?
All right. So basically, the role of the soil is to provide the plant anchor, like to anchor the roots. So the sawdust plays the exact same role. It does not give the plant any nutrients. Any nutrients that are fed into the plants are water-soluble nutrients that we mix into the tanks. I hope they can see the tanks. And then we feed them it's like an intravenous, it's like an intravenous feeding, if you can call it. And like, I don't know if somebody has landed in the hospital, but you know, when you can't eat, they usually feed you via drip. Yes. And that keeps you alive. And it can actually get you up faster than somebody giving you food because you can't digest it. So the system is similar to that. You're getting the nutrients directly to the plants. Yes, you're getting whatever nutrients, your NPKs, you are just getting them directly to the plant. There's no obstruction or competition that's happening with the soil, and you are absorbing that through your water, and then it's like when you drink water first and then you eat, you are highly likely to feel much fuller. Yes, than when you eat and then drink water, because your body, the way that it digests water, it digests it faster than it would than you would when you're digesting food. So that's why we take up to 2 months to grow. In as low as 7 weeks, we'll have a harvest in our products.
So in other words, there's less things disturbing the plant. There's less worms, things that are coming outside, eating the roots and all that.
Yes.
There's shade nets, so that the building that we got here it's got shade nets. So like, just explain what the shade nets do that we don't get outside in the field.
Okay. So now, remember, when you plant on open field, you can't control the temperature. So if it's too hot outside, you are highly likely to see your plants dying, and then towards the evening, they start getting fresh air, and then they're highly likely to pick up. But then at night, if you live in a frost area or you live in a very cold area, there's a temperature imbalance. It's too hot during the day and it's too cold during the evening, which is one of the many defects of open field farming. So here, the tunnels are covered in shade nets and plastic. The shade nets allows for some air to come into the tunnels so that the plants can breathe and they can collect that fresh air. And then the plastics are generally for keeping the moist and the temperatures just about the same throughout during the day and night. So it will capture in the heat from during the day, and then at night they can continue at the same temperature. So that helps the plant not compromise its digesting and the way that it grows.
Great. Now, before we move on to the Q&A where our audience can ask their own questions, someone may ask, okay, if I wanted to start this thing at home on my own, what am I looking to put in terms of money to have a decent sized operation? And give or take, in terms of, say, I'm just a Shezi, and I'm just trying my luck outside, trying to get by. Let's say assuming I know what I'm doing, which is also the main thing. What am I in for in terms of costs? And what do I stand to make? Let's say everything works in my favor.
Yes.
For a decent size operation? Maybe you can define what a decent looks like.
Okay, so currently an average 10 by 30 meter tunnel costs roughly about 135,000 rands. And that's just the infrastructure with the drip irrigation system. And then you also have your inputs there, which is roughly about 40,000 rands for a season. And then you've also got your labor. And one tunnel, you can hire one person to look after one tunnel. So with tunnel farming, it's also so with just one tunnel,
how big is a tunnel? Just explain to people in layman terms. How big is it?
It's 10 by 30 meters, like 300 square meters.
300 square meters.
Yes, 300 square meters. And remember now, you want to stay productive throughout the year. So, and then you want to stay in the market as well. So for me, it just didn't make sense to start with one tunnel. I needed to start with 5 or more so that I could stagger my planting, so that I could always be in the market. There's no time where I'm not in the market and somebody else takes my space. So ideally, anybody that wants to start would have to invest about 600,000 rands for 5 tunnels. And then in addition to that would be labor, depending on the rates, the current rates that are going for labor. And then, that's 40,000 rands times 5 tunnels. Yes, per season. Season lasts up to 6 months. And then what else do we need? Yeah. So that's basically it. It's not
is it profitable? Is it something that one can leave a full-time job and do?
Yes, it is something that you can leave your full-time job and do, provided that you start at the right scale.
Yeah.
If you're just going to do one tunnel, I would not advise for you to start. But if you're starting from a 5 and above, yes, it's definitely something that you can start.
And also, the most important thing was when we started as Livestock World, I'm sure you've seen the videos. First, we built our own tunnels. You've seen some of them.
Yes.
On the slideshow. But I think one of the things we saw and we learned is the most important thing is the market. Where are you going to take your items to immediately when they arrive? Maybe you yourself, where do you sell all this stuff that you're producing?
Okay. So I'm currently selling to Food Lovers Market, but the local guys, because the demand is just too much on just the local guys. So it's a local Food Lovers Market in Palito. And then I've got hawkers that buy from the farm gate. I've got the school's nutrition program, for the feeding scheme. They also buy, in bulk. And then I've got like general walk-in customers at the farm, which come and also purchase. And then we are on a Spark Group enterprise development process where we are being trained to supply the bigger retailers.
Oh, good stuff. Nothing is worse than having stuff on the field and nowhere to take it to. Have you ever been in that point in this 5-6 years you've been in tunnel farming where you got stuff that's fully grown but nowhere to go?
Sure. Okay. That happened to me once. It was at December. The schools were closed because I was so used to my school's nutrition program market. I got comfortable and I didn't look for any other markets besides the schools. And then the schools closed and I had like too much produce. And then only when we needed to take out the tomatoes, just the week after they closed the school, and then we were like, oh, shit. Where are we taking all these tomatoes? But fortunately, there's the national markets. If you can't sell your product to anyone, then take it to the market. They'll buy it at the market price. So I've also learned to be smart. If a customer, if it's not your customer, because they're taking you down on price or anything, then take it to the national markets. Those guys are always accepting produce. So my first, my first after the school's nutrition program was the market. I needed to call people to see where can I sell my products, and so that was the biggest market, and it's there. It exists without contracts or anything. You supply them as you have a surplus, then you send to them, and they'll sell the stuff for you too. Sometimes the very same customers that were running away from buying from you directly. Yeah.
Now, for those people who say, okay, that sounds like too much work. You are right at home in Livestock Wealth, because the facility that you see here, these plants you see here, up to half of them are owned by investors who have bought the gardens to Livestock Wealth. And every 3 months, when we take some stuff to market, those investors are getting a rental for each one garden. And each garden consists of 24 units of plants. So if you go into the website, you'll see one garden consisting of 24 units of plants that you own as the investor. And every 3 months, into your Livestock Wealth wallet, your rental is paid from the farmer to you. So the farmer has made their money in the markets and done all that they do using their entrepreneurial skills. And you, as the investor through Livestock Wealth, are able to make that happen for the farmer, and at the same time make a return for yourself, which is where your 8,200 rand becomes 660 every 3 months for 5 years, which turns out to 13,200 rand. So in percentage terms, if you convert that, that comes down to about 12.5% per annum in return, which is a really good return. So for someone who says, I've got money that I don't want that money to finish quickly, maybe like an endowment, or maybe your parents died or something, by putting investment in the garden, you're able to then every 3 months be getting an income for a period of 5 years, and you're able to live off that, so that you don't finish all the money quickly. So we've got how many minutes now? Almost 14 minutes. I'm going to open it up for questions. I know that some of you have been asking questions on the chat, and also I think I can talk a lot, and Welile can talk more than me. So I know there's a lot of things that we probably didn't say. So if there's something that you wanted to understand, whether on the investment in the garden or on how the planting happens, etc., this is your opportunity to ask. So we are here for that. That's why we have these webinars. We have a very simple ethos in Livestock Wealth, very simple one, and it's something from day one we've been applying. We say, like Warren Buffett said, one of his most famous quotes: never invest in anything that you do not understand. So if someone comes to you and say, oh, put some money here, then no, they put it in some trucking company or oil, what, and you don't know anything about oil and how oil works, blah, blah, blah. Rather, take time and understand. We don't do oil, we deal agriculture. And these sessions today are there to help everyone, including yourselves, to properly understand. So in other words, after being on this webinar, you should be able to go home to your 5-year-old or 7-year-old and explain to them how the connected garden works. Now, if the 5-year-old or 7-year-old understands it, that means we've done a good job. So that's our belief. That's one of our values here, that people must invest in something that they understand and that can be explained and understood by a 5-10-year-old. So please, any question, no stupid question out here. The only stupid question is the one that is never asked. So over to you, Thulani, there.
Thank you, Welile and Shezi. That was very interesting. So now it's time for the Q&A section. But before I just read out the question, there's a very nice comment from Richard. He's saying that this is beautiful and encouraging to see our women taking the bull by the horns. So go out and shine.
Wow.
Thank you.
We have a question from Alison. The question is, what would influence the profit being paid out by you, and how can the risk be mitigated? What guarantees the return on my investment?
Great stuff. Let me start with the guarantee part, and not really consider the risk. Or you want to take the money? Yeah. People have seen enough of me.
Okay, so I can hear myself actually.
Oh, sorry, what's that? Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so on the guarantee part, I'll let the return on investment, I'll let you answer that. But on the guarantee part, we are trading or we are producing in a controlled environment. So we are almost 99.9% guaranteed that our products or our crops, from seedling to our first harvest to the last day of harvesting after the 6 months, we are guaranteed that we'll have a product to sell to our markets. And then we have readily available markets that we sell to. So on that part, the role that is played by me, the farmer, which is getting the product at the required time, and also selling it at the right prices. So that is my job. And then the return on investments would then be the responsibility of livestock wealth, as to when Azowel starts paying off the investment through livestock wealth. Yeah.
So let me talk on the other parts. So we have a contract between ourselves and the farm. In the contract, there's the terms around payment. So every month we invoice the farm, because you're the investor, you own the garden. We invoice the farmer on your behalf for this set number of gardens in a specific location. And then the farmer gets an invoice every month. But since, like in month one, like if you plant today, there is nothing that is going to market after 4 weeks, then the farmer doesn't have to pay that invoice in month one. They're able to harvest, maybe let's say on week 7, sell the stuff to the market, and then harvest again on week 9 and 10. And only on week number 12, which is after 3 months, when they've made money, only then they have to pay in that money onto its livestock wealth. Then livestock wealth then transfers that money onto your livestock wealth wallet, which is on your app or on the website. And then you as the investor can decide, okay, do I want to withdraw this investment return to my account? Or if you want, you can keep it there and use it to buy other assets as well and invest in other assets as well. So that's how we've structured this, by first vetting the farmers. So we don't just take anyone who calls himself a farmer. We vet them, we credit check them, we understand where they're supplying, they are standing in the community, and all the other things. We visit the sites, we check the leases that they've bought on the premises or title deeds, they bought title deeds. We check all that stuff, all that due diligence we do so that we can minimize the risk. And then we bet on the right horse on your behalf. Really, that's what livestock does. Think of it as, it's a debit in July, you can't get there. Say, Shezi, which one is the winning horse? And I tell, okay, we've got winning horses. And then you give me $50 to bet on the Azowel Projects horse. And because we've done our research, we've satisfied ourselves. And monthly, we visit the site, we check in with the farmers, and that things are going according to plan. All this in a way of making sure your investment is guaranteed in terms of what we promise, what the farmer promise is able to happen. Yeah.
Thank you. We have another question from Lungi.
So just ask again.
Okay, we have a question from Lungi. And it says, what about the packaging of the produce for transportation? Where do you source the packaging? So that's for you, Welile.
All right. So most of our products are usually packaged in boxes or crates, depending on what the customer prefers. And then we source those from our local coastal farmers, but you can also get those at the market. And we currently have our own delivery vehicle that gives us the peace of mind of being able to deliver to our customers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. All right. So we have Noni. She wants more clarity. Okay, so the question is it possible to maybe provide a detailed breakdown of the startup cost involved in tunnel farming? Not sure if I heard wrong, but we're looking at about 150,000 plus per tunnel, including labor.
No, that's not it. Yeah, so the infrastructure on its own would cost you around 135,000 rands, just the infrastructure. And then you've got your fertilizers and chemicals for control. And then you've also got your seedling costs. And then you've also got your labor costs. So roughly we are looking for a whole growing season for just one tunnel. You are looking at around 200,000 rands of just capex.
Okay. It looks like Noni has a couple of questions to ask. So
right.
They also want to know the maintenance costs. So who are the main suppliers also of such tunnels? And then would that mean you need about 200K to start up as an individual?
Yes, definitely. On just one tunnel though, just one structure, that would roughly cost you around that amount of money.
All right. Thank you. We have an investment question. How much must one have to invest for the garden?
Yeah. So to invest in the garden, you don't need 200,000 or a million. You can get started for just 8,200 rand. So if you've got your app, or you can go onto our website as we speak, livestockwell.com, or download our app on the App Store, Livestock Wealth app on the App Store or Android. You can, in less than 5 minutes, you can be owning your own garden. So the moment that your plants are planted, then a label with your name that this is Shezi or Nonkululeko's section of the farm. So if you walk into the farm, like I'm walking in here, you can go and point. That one is mine. That one is mine. That's me. That's me. That's my row. These 2 rows are my family's rows. That's where we're getting our return from. So for just 8,200 rand and app on your phone, you can actually start today. I've met many people who say, "Oh, Leftover, I've been following you for 5 years. Blah blah blah. Why follow us? Invest. Invest. Imagine in 5 years, if you invest in a cow, the value could have long grown. In 5 years' time, you probably should be sitting at about 13% per annum times 5. There should be about a 70% growth in your money. But if you sit and wait and watch for too long, by the time you catch us, you'll only be able to invest in US dollars. But yeah, we're still available in rands. Yeah. Is that a question, Kari?
All right. So we have another question from Paul. How do the wood shavings work? Do you mix them with anything else, or it's just the shavings?
I'm not sure. Okay. I'm not sure. At this point, let me just grab this.
Yeah.
Okay. So these are the wood shavings. We place them inside this bag, and then we transplant the plant into it. And then using a drip irrigation system, we just drip the water in here. The role of the wood shaving is just to is to hold the plant down. And that's all. That's all it does. That's the role of the wood shavings. And then because we transplant a seedling and not a seed, the roots are then able to hold on to these wood shavings, and then for the period that we are growing, it will just keep it intact.
Yeah.
I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. I think the key is in the drip irrigation. Let me just expand on there how it works. What techniques there? What kind of food goes into the plant? Like you mentioned a drip in the hospital. Maybe just expand there in the last 2 minutes that we've got before we close.
All right. So on the drip irrigation system, we have water tanks, 5,000 or 10,000 liters. We then feed fertilizers into those tanks, and then we pump the water into each and every one of the plants. And they just use little tubes that are dripping into the plants. We usually do this 5 times a day for 5 minutes. And it gives the plant enough nutrients for it to grow and to produce vegetatively.
Mm. Yeah, maybe let me see if I can really show.
Yeah, I think.
You see. Okay, I'm trying my best here. Hopefully you guys can see while Welile talks.
Yes. Yeah. And so that's the dripper, right?
Yep. This is so the water comes in through here. Yeah. The water comes in through here, through the pipe over there, onto the plant. That's enough water
for the plant. It's been calculated. A plant roughly needs about 2 liters of water per day. So unlike on open field, the soil would suck the water as well. And then so by timing your irrigation and by giving the plant exactly what it needs in those 2 liters of water, you avoid what is called aeration, when there's too much water in the plant, and they literally start drowning. They also drown. Like too much of everything makes everybody sick, including the plant. So we know exactly how much that is needed in order for us to be able to produce the best crops that we can.
That's great. Someone is asking there, what's the name of our app? The name of our app, we've got 2 apps on the Android store. The Livestock Wealth My Farm Book app is the one where you invest. There's another one which is called Livestock Wealth Farmers, which is the one that's only used by farmers to manage their cattle, to track and manage their cattle. We haven't launched it yet, so you guys are the ones getting a sneak peek of it. So you're welcome to download that as well. But the investment app is called Livestock Wealth My Farm Book. We've got time for just maybe one more question, just one more only for Welile.
Okay. Well, most of the questions are around investments. Okay, but then we have a question here from SN Moore. It says, is there land available for rental so one can be a farmer?
Okay. Okay, fine. All right. So I'm a farmer and I don't own any land. I've been leasing land ever since I started working. So it all goes down to your negotiations. Look for land and then negotiate with the landowners, and then you can start working if you have the capital to start. So yeah, I don't own any land. All the farms that we work are leased, and then we just do our negotiations in a way that is better suited for all parties involved.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay, so most of the questions coming through are investment related. So maybe Mr. Shezi, you can close off by just explaining the investment cost through Livestock Wealth. There are quite a lot of questions around that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Lani and everyone. Investment costs, very simple. I will summarize, but all I'm saying is on the website as well. All I'm saying is also on the website. Livestock.com, there's a video on the garden. So 8,200 Rand, you starting, you own your garden. And that's your garden for a 5-year term. So it's a 5-year period. And every 3 months, that's the only cost you're going to incur. 8,200 Rand is the only cost you are incurring. All the other maintenance costs, labor stuff, that's the farmer. And every 3 months, then for one garden, you're getting 660 Rand paid into your livestock wealth wallet, which you can then withdraw if you want, or use it to buy other assets like trees, etc. And there's no limits in terms of how many assets you can start with. So if you download our app now or go to the website, even if you have 5 million Rand, because we do have investors whose singular portfolios and livestock running to about 2.5 million Rand. That's like our highest investor so far. So that's in cows and trees combined. So there's no limit really in terms of saying what can I invest in is the maximum. There's absolutely no limit. That's what I would say. So go to the and buy. But then maybe you can Welile back on Tulani. Yeah.
Okay, we have very limited time now.
Welile, thank you so much for making time to be part of this session and for sharing information freely. I'm sure when you started, you can tell many stories about how much certain information that could have helped was just not shared by people who had it, and today you're giving knowledge to all these South Africans and people overseas watching. And thank you very much. And I'm sure your business is going to grow, and we are right behind you up to the time you've got 600 tunnels, 1,000 tunnels. As long as we are here, as long as the investors are here, as long as you are there, we'll be there. Any last words on your side?
Yeah, thank you very much, Livestock Wealth, for having me and for backing me up and for helping me realize my dream. I didn't, it's funny, before we met in December, I had planned on expanding or moving to other sites. Yeah. But it was a long-term goal. And then fast track from 20 tunnels to 40 tunnels within a very, very short space of time. Yeah. So thank you very much for the backing, and thank you to the investors that trust our work, and that they'll get their returns of earnings within the estimated space of time. And we just want to assure them that we know what we're doing, and they'll definitely. So it would be nice for the investors one day to come and take a picture inside, and next to the plants that they own at the farm. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Welile, and thank you, everyone. Have a great day, fella. All the best. Bye-bye. God bless.
God bless. Thank you.
Bye.
This is The Connected Garden, where you can make your money grow by owning a fully stocked organic vegetable garden. We have two options to choose from. The take-home option, where you can have the Connected Garden delivered to your home so you can grow your own vegetables for a once-off fee of 8,200 Rand. Or the rental option, where the garden is leased out to farmers and managed on your behalf. In this option, you earn 660 Rand every 3 months over 5 years. This is your portion of revenue derived from the sale of vegetables to local farmers markets, restaurants and other off-takers. This equates to a total income of 13,200 Rand over 5 years. The garden uses less water than conventional planting and creates real jobs in the agricultural value chain. It is designed to accommodate smart sensors to monitor soil moisture and temperature, allowing you to watch your investment grow while helping the farmer to farm better. Invest today Download the Livestock Wealth My Farm Book app, available on Apple or Android.